afternoon from Norway and the Fridtjof Nansens Institute. My name is Regine Andersen and I'm a research fellow of the Fridtjof Nansens Institute and director of the Farmers' Rights Project. It would have been great to be with you in Rio, but since that is not possible, I'm glad to join you via video link. I have been invited to make a speech on the cooperation between the Fridtjof Nansens Institute and the International Treaty with regard to the topic of this session. As we know, farmers are custodians and developers of crop genetic resources in the field. And basically, realizing farmers' rights means enabling farmers to maintain and develop crop genetic resources as they have done since the dawn of agriculture, and recognizing and rewarding them for this indispensable contribution to the global pool of genetic resources. The realization of farmers' rights is a precondition for the maintenance of crop genetic diversity, which is the basis of all food and agriculture production in the world. For this reason, farmers' rights constitute a cornerstone in the Plant Treaty, as their realization is a precondition for achieving the treaty objectives of conservation and sustainable use of crop genetic resources. The Farmers' Rights Project is aimed at supporting the implementation of the farmers' rights as they are addressed in the Plant Treaty. The project provides research, guidance and capacity building on the implementation of farmers' rights at the national as well as international levels. Initiated in 2005, it's a long-term project with many different components comprising research, surveys and consultations, as well as more operational activities like a website, workshops and seminars. The project started out with a survey on the history of farmers' rights based on a review of available documents and literature. The resulting report was designed as a guide to decision makers and practitioners. On this basis, an international multi-stakeholder survey was carried out to map views and experiences with farmers' rights around the world and to derive lessons for further implementation at the national as well as international levels. We further carried out an in-depth case study on farmers' rights in each of the countries of India, Ethiopia, Peru and Norway. Through this research, we identified two approaches to farmers' rights and termed them the stewardship approach and the ownership approach to help structure the discussion, terms that have been widely used in later discussions on farmers' rights. We also introduced the concept legal space for the first time in this context of farmers' rights. The term refers to the legal requirements for farmers to continue to conserve and sustainably use crop genetic diversity by saving, developing, exchanging and selling seed and propagating material. Also, this concept has been widely employed in subsequent discussions on farmers' rights. Through our surveys and case studies, we have highlighted the state of realization of farmers' rights and pinpointed barriers and options in this regard. One of the findings of the Farmers' Rights Project was that models of the realization of farmers' rights are needed. We started collecting success stories from the realization of farmers' rights, a task that proved to be rewarding as well as inspiring. At our website, www.farmersrights.org, we have presented a number of case studies that show that realization of farmers' rights is already taking place. Further stories will be told in a book that will be published around the end of the year by EarthScan. The stories have contributed greatly to developing an understanding of the contents of farmers' rights as well as the prospects for their realization. In 2007, Norway took the initiative to organize informal international consultations on farmers' rights together with Zambia and the Fridtjof Nansens Institute. Consultations were held in Lusaka, Zambia, and gathered 27 participants from 20 countries. The ensuing report was presented by Norway at the second session of the governing body, together with an input paper from the two countries, and it provided a basis for Resolution 2 of 2007 on farmers' rights. In 2009, the governing body decided to request the Secretariat to convene regional workshops on farmers' rights to discuss relevant national experiences subject to agreed priorities and to the availability of financial resources. Due to to the lack of financial and human resources at the Secretariat, the Fridtjof Nansens Institute in Norway raised the required funding and organized the consultations. An email-based study or survey and an international consultation conference with regional components hosted by the Institute of Biodiversity Conservation in Ethiopia were the main components of the consultations, which involved a total of 171 experts and stakeholders from 46 countries around the world and all major groups of stakeholders. The consultation showed that the prime concern among most participants is the need for guidance, support and capacity building to develop and adjust national legislation, policies, strategies and programs for the realization of farmers' rights. The question of this session is, what do we need to endorse and implement capacity building, technology transfer and information sharing? Despite the huge challenges ahead in implementing farmers' rights, there are many examples of non-monetary benefit sharing which can be seen as success stories. Examples are community seed banks and registries, participatory plant breeding and enhanced utilization of farmers' varieties, adding value and improving market access. Many of these examples have potential for replication and upscaling. However, non-monetary benefit sharing does not mean that no money is involved. Often these projects are supported by organizations in the north. What we see in times of financial crisis is that funds are drying up. Thus, I would say that what we need is a focus on the necessity of continuing to support farmers in developing countries who contribute to conserving and sustainably using crop genetic diversity, as this constitutes a crucial contribution to the global genetic pool, which is vital to meet future environmental challenges such as climate change. I wish you every success with your meeting and in Rio. Thank you.